Most people think a workshop is a place where things get made. Shelves, tables, old machines. But if you pay attention long enough, a workshop tells a different story. It shows how a man deals with reality when reality refuses to follow the plan. The cut fits, or it does not. The bolt lines up, or it does not. The machine works, or it does not. You get your feedback almost instantly. And once you see it that way, you start noticing there are 7 levels of men in a workshop. The first is the spectator. Picture your regular 9-to-5 dad coming home after a long day at work, dropping his bag by the door, eating dinner, then spending the next 3 hours watching other men build things online. Workbench builds, tool restorations, old engine repairs, cabinets made from scratch. Every night, more videos. Every weekend, more saving. His phone fills up with playlists called future projects, while the loose shelf in the garage stays loose, and the old mower in the corner stays broken. Because watching another man work gives him the feeling of progress, without asking him to risk getting anything wrong. That is the protection. As long as nothing gets attempted, nothing gets tested. Are you that type of man? The second is the passive optimizer. This is your regular office worker who gets paid, walks into the hardware store with a new sense of purpose, and comes home with a workbench, a new drill, storage bins, LED lights, a full socket set, and enough labels to make the workshop look like a showroom. Every screwdriver has a place. Every socket is lined up. Every drawer is organized. The floor is clean enough to eat from. The problem is simple. The workshop looks finished. Before the work even starts, a spotless setup feels safe, because it never asks for risk. No scratched surface, no bent bracket, no wrong measurement, no failed attempt, just order, just potential, just the illusion of movement. Is this also you? The third is the intellectual. Picture your regular engineer dad, the one who reads manuals for fun, knows the correct measurements, and can explain exactly how a project should be completed. One weekend, he decides to build a storage rack against the back wall. The drawing is ready. The cuts are planned. The right screws have been bought. Then the first bracket refuses to sit flat. The wall is uneven. The angle is wrong, and the measurements on paper no longer match the space in front of him. The theory is all there. The confidence is there too. Then reality refuses to respect the model inside his head. So the project turns into a long search through tutorials, forums, old notes, and 3 different measuring tools. That is the trap. Knowledge without tolerance for friction falls apart fast. The fourth is the frustrated apprentice. Picture your regular warehouse worker who gets tired of paying someone else for every small repair and decides to rebuild an old generator on his own. The parts are bought, the tutorials are watched, the tools are laid out. The first hour feels hopeful. The cover comes off. The fuel line gets removed. The old parts begin coming loose. The second hour starts dragging. One bolt refuses to move. The wrench slips. The bolt begins to round. By the 4th hour, the generator is still not running. One step got done wrong, and half the work has to be repeated. While frustration climbs faster than skill, that stage hurts. It feels like failure. But it is only the price of entry. The workshop is finally teaching him something a video never could. How much pressure is too much. How metal feels before it slips. How one small mistake changes everything that follows. And if you are here, you are actually showing promise. The 5th is the builder. Same man, different mind. Now the next repair goes wrong, and the reaction is different. No spiraling, no throwing tools, no blaming the machine. Just a quiet pause, a second look, and a steady line that sounds something like, "All right, let's find the part I missed." Off comes the piece again. The connections get checked, the mistake gets found, the fix gets made, the job takes longer than planned, but the nervous energy never takes over. That is growth. Are you here? Comment below. The problem stops feeling like an insult. It starts feeling like information. The 6th is the thinker. Picture a small business owner who notices orders beginning to arrive late. Most people blame the workers, blame suppliers, blame bad timing, blame customers who keep changing their minds. This man looks deeper, because years of building physical things taught him to search for the weak link. Measurements are being written on loose pieces of paper. Materials are being ordered too late. One person assumes another person checked the details. The final mistake happens at the end. But the real problem began much earlier. One small failure keeps repeating through the entire system, and once it gets seen, everything starts making sense. That is the shift. Symptoms stop being the story. The real cause becomes the focus. The seventh is the master builder. Picture your regular father in his 50s coming home after work, walking into the workshop, not because something is falling apart, but because that is where his mind settles. A drawer needs adjusting, a machine needs cleaning, a loose joint needs attention. None of it creates panic. None of it feels heavy. When life outside gets loud, that same workshop becomes the quiet place where his mind remembers how to work. His son walks in frustrated. He has been trying to repair an old bicycle. The wheel keeps rubbing against the frame. The same nut has been removed twice. Nothing seems to change. The older man could take the tool, finish the job, and have the bicycle working in minutes. But he does not. He turns the wheel slowly, looks at the boy, and asks him to watch where the movement begins. The boy looks closer, notices one side of the axle sitting higher than the other, loosens the nut, straightens the wheel, and tries again. The rubbing stops. Years of working with real materials, real friction, and real consequences have trained a different response. Problems are not emergencies. They are systems. So he looks at the issue, finds the first useful place to begin, and starts there. That is the final level. Not knowledge alone, not tools alone, not a workshop filled with expensive equipment, agency. The kind of confidence built from proving over and over that when the plan fails, you do not freeze. You look again, you adjust, and you figure it out. And that is why a workshop is never only a workshop. It is a place where a man learns who he is. When the instructions stop helping, the material pushes back, and the real work begins. If these ideas feel familiar, the Builder's Field Guide is linked below. It goes deeper into the psychology behind men who build, fix, and keep working when reality refuses to cooperate. Not because every project can be saved, but because every difficult project has something to teach the man standing in front of it. Comment below if you see yourself in any of the levels.